Real quick guys, if you guys wouldn't mind, please be sure to consider going down your item shop and typing in BAY for your supported creator code, BEY, and then clicking accept. This will support me greatly and it will not cost you anything, so please be sure to do this, and let's get right into the video. Hey, what's up guys? In this video today, I'm going to be unboxing the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. I recently decided to buy this controller and basically upgrade to this controller after playing on the Xbox standard controller for the past, I'd say, 6 years. I've always been playing on standard Xbox controllers. I've never tried any other controller. I've maybe only tried the PS4 here and there at like friends' houses and stuff like that, but the only controller that I've ever played on has been the Xbox standard controller. And after seeing multiple reviews and seeing many pros such as Unknown Army and others play on the Elite controller, I decided to try it out for myself and see if it was worth switching to. In this video, I'm going to be doing an unboxing video and basically showing you guys all of the cool features it has and everything that kind of sets this controller apart from every other controller on the market. In this video, I'll be going over every single feature, every single difference, and everything that you'll basically need to know that'll be important for Fortnite or video games in general. Now, before we get into it, I just want to say, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, because in the near future, I'm going to be uploading my ultimate guide to finding your perfect sensitivity for controller and console players. This guide will be one of the best guides on YouTube. I can guarantee you guys that. So please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because that video is coming out soon, and I know a lot of you guys are going to be looking forward to it. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Upon opening it, the first thing that we see is basically this carrying case that the Xbox controller and all of its little features are inside of. Behind this case, we have this little casing right inside, and under this, there is some important things, so please be sure to check under it. What you'll find is basically this pamphlet that has 3 separate pieces of cards in them. One of these is a free trial to Xbox Game Pass. One of them is basically a starter guide to how to use the Elite controller. And the other thing isn't really that important. It's just kind of like the random stuff that no one ever really reads. And then once we look behind the little black casing that we basically took off, what we find is this little black box, and inside of this is the USB-C to USB cable, and this is where you're going to be using to charge your controller and also to directly connect it to your PC or your console. I recommend directly connecting the controller even though it is wireless, because this will give you the lowest amount of latency and it will give you almost an instant feel when you're playing games, and it will basically give you that competitive advantage that you need. And I'm guessing that most of you guys that buy this controller are going to be people that want to have a competitive edge. Now, going into the case, we basically have this basic zip, and once we unzip it, on the inside we have the Xbox Elite controller and all of the little tools and stuff that goes on the controller. We have a little pouch on the top, and as you guys can see here, it is the Xbox Elite controller. Now, the first thing I noticed when I pick it up is that this controller is extremely heavier when you compare it to the standard Xbox controllers. This is a very good thing though, so don't think it's bad. When this added weight is basically on this controller, what it says is that it's made of good materials, and it also does help you guys with playing the game, because the fact that weighted controllers sit better in your hands and they basically offer a more ergonomic feel. Another thing I love about this controller is the stuttered grips that are all along the controller, and on the back side we see the Elite Series 2 logo predominantly displayed in the center back, as well as the paddles, the trigger stops, and some other things that I'll get into further into this video. So one of the cool things about this controller is that basically every single piece on it can be removed. Now, not every single piece, but all the pieces that are kind of important. These are the D-pad, the analog sticks, and things such as the paddles, and basically any button that you can press. The D-pad can be switched out, and so can the analog sticks, and they can be switched out with other things that are already inside of the Elite controller when you buy it. These come with the controller, and they offer variety, which is very important for competitive people. And the first thing we're going to be looking at on the controller is the triggers and the trigger stops. So the Elite Series 2 controller has basically 3 different levels for trigger stops. The first one being kind of a medium stop where it'll stop at halfway, and the next one being a very slight trigger stop, which will basically make your triggers like a button. They'll barely go down, and these are very good for FPS games and games that are basically shooters where you can benefit from having shorter triggers. Do not use these for games where the length of your trigger pull will matter though. Games such as car racing games or any game where the trigger pull does matter towards your gameplay. And on the back we also have the paddles. The paddles can be used in multiple different ways. If you're someone who doesn't play claw, not like me though, because I do play claw, so I will not be using all of the paddles, if any at all. In a few months I will make a long-term guide and I'll basically give you guys my long-term review of the controller and basically what I've decided to do after playing with it for a while and trying out all the features in the game as I get better with it and get better at the game in general. The next thing the controller case has is this cool little charger. It is not necessarily a wireless charger, but it does fit magnetically to the case and also to the controller, and it's very easy to kind of slide onto the back. It comes with this little fabric on top, and you can just go ahead and tear this right on off. Once you tear this fabric off, the controller basically just slips right onto the back of this, and this can be used in multiple different ways, and I'll show you guys in just a second what I mean by this. So the charging pad basically fits right into the carrying case, and it is magnetic, so it's very snug, and the magnets that are on the case are stronger than the ones that connect to the controller, so you'll never have to worry about it pulling off the case when you're pulling the controller off. And basically on the back of the controller case there's this little slot, and what this slot allows for is to basically slide in the micro USB cable so that you can charge the case without taking your controller out. You can basically place your controller on the inside here, go ahead and close the case and just allow it to charge while you're not playing, and it will protect your controller and also charge it at the same time. Another notable feature of the Elite controller is that the charging actually doesn't involve batteries at all, not the ones that you take out and put back in. The controller has a rechargeable battery that lasts for approximately 40 hours, so you'll never have to worry about batteries or anything like that. You basically just charge the battery and you can go ahead and take the controller out, play with it for as long as you need, and just put it back and allow it to charge when you're not using it. And basically with this controller you get 3 different types of analog sticks. 1 comes in a pair and 2 come in singles, because these 2 they found that most people usually don't use in pairs and they only use one of, but the other ones were the ones that were most commonly used on both sides by the people that use the Elite Series 1. So that's what Microsoft basically used to base this off of. And what we'll find is that with the pair they're a little bit longer and a little bit thicker than the standard ones that are already on it. And then with the other 2, one of them is a dome shaped kind of analog stick, and the other one, which is my personal favorite, is the longer, more lengthy analog stick, and this one is very good for FPS and shooter games. This is basically like a Control Freak, and it has the same concept as it, as its thickness is a little bit thinner, but its length is also much more, which will basically give you more control over your aim. And this is a great option to use on your right analog stick, and it is what I will be using to play the game from now on. And as you guys can see, it is much longer and much basically thinner than the left analog stick that I'm using right now, and it also has the same kind of head as the basic analog sticks, which is personally my favorite because they give really good grip and they don't let your thumb slip off when you're playing the game. Now, another thing that we get with this controller is the standard D-pad that you'll find on every other controller, as you can see on the controller that is sitting on the right side of my desk. This D-pad is the 4-sided D-pad that will basically act as just a 1, 2, 3, 4 button type of click, and it is basically the same thing as the underlying game D-pad thing, kind of. I don't know how to explain it, but you can basically swap this out for the circular disc version or the one right here. I'll personally be using this one just because I'm more used to it, and as you guys can see, it is almost exactly the same as the ones on the standard controllers, except for the fact that it's metal and it's made of better quality. Now, quite possibly one of my favorite features, and one of the only controllers in the world to actually do this, is the tension analog sticks, and basically being able to control the tension in your analog sticks by using this cool little feature that the Elite controllers have. By using this little thing right here that I'm holding in my hand, you can go ahead and increase and decrease the amount of tension in your analog sticks in 3 different settings. There's a light tension, a standard tension that is the one that is in all of their other basic controllers, and a more tense tension setting. And what this will do is it'll basically make it harder for you to turn your analog stick, and if you put on the lighter one, it'll make it easier. These are good for different types of games and different scenarios. Me personally, I recommend using the light tension for shooters and for any games where precision is important, because of the fact that you'll get better control over it and you won't need to use too much force to basically lightly move the analog sticks left and right and get them in the right positions to line up headshots and basically have good aim. Now that I've gone over all the physical features, there's also a Xbox companion app that you can get on the Xbox for basically accessories and everything like that. And with this, you can customize your Xbox Elite controller software. This is a major aspect of the controller and one of the most underrated. With this, you can map buttons. You can change and add profiles for specific games. So if you're someone that plays multiple games, you can have one profile and basically configure and save all of your settings under one game. And at the same time, what you can also do is customize everything down to the smallest details, such as your analog sticks, your buttons, the sensitivities, the dead zones, and everything like that. Basically, what you guys can do, and this is a really cool feature, is you guys can actually change the aiming inputs and everything down to the most advanced settings for your specific game. This is more advanced, and I'm honestly not sure what is the best thing for the games that you guys are playing, but personally for Fortnite, I left it on the default and I didn't touch it because I already feel like I have good aim in the game and I'm already a player who's spent a lot of time perfecting and getting better. But in the next video and in my future uploads, I will be talking about which one of these settings is the best one, and I'll play around with it and basically spend a lot of time learning and mastering all the different utilizations that you can get out of using these customizations within the software portion of this controller. And with that, guys, we've reached the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and that you guys got everything that you wanted out of this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.